Hello again, everybody. Back again, making another video because there is some breaking comic book news in the comic book world. And of course, we're talking about the Rippaverse. I don't know how this slipped under my radar, but it sure as hell did. Rippaverse is made by uh, three different individuals, and at least two of them had previously worked in, I can't remember if it was Marvel or DC. I'm going to verify that real quick here. But basically, they kind of got tired of the current state of things in the current comic book industry, and they decided, fuck this. We're going to go do our own thing, and we're going to do comics right. So they started Rippaverse Comics, and it was started through another kind of like crowdfunding type thing, Kickstarter type thing, but it was all through their own, they ran their own campaign, as far as I can tell, and yeah, so far, they've written one 96-page #1 issue of their first comic book series, and this series is designed to launch this comic book universe, the Rippaverse. And that series is Isom, Isom. So, what is the deal with the Rippaverse? Well, basically, let's talk about the character first. This is Isom. He's a guy from Texas, and he became, they get these guys for the Rippaverse. They have their own specific verbiage that they like to use. It's their own term for superhuman, metahuman, whatever, but it's escaping me at the moment. And long story short, Isom becomes metahuman, superhuman. He gets his abilities, his powers, and he tries out being like a metahuman, superhuman hero for a while. And eventually he comes to realize that life is not for him. Some shit goes down. He realizes that's not for him. And he retires back to where he's from in Texas. He owns a ranch, and he's just a guy. But starting off in issue #1, he has to kind of like sort of come out of retirement because some shit goes down. It's one of those types of stories. And there are other superhumans and metahumans that get introduced in this series in issue #1. Like I said, this issue #1. That's all these people have sold. Rippaverse Comics. The only comic they have to sell you is Isom #1 on their website. It's right now. I think it's going for about, and you can only buy it through their website. You have to by donating to the campaign. Right now, it's going for about $35 a copy. This campaign, essentially this comic, has been available to purchase. You can fund the campaign and get the comic book for the money. That's been going on for about 2 weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks, and in that time they've made $3.5 million. This is significant. Not just because it's a lot of money for one comic. I get it. It's an extra large single issue comic. It's 96 pages. I get that. That being said, though, there's another thing we got to talk about that makes this unique. Their entire marketing campaign is basically, hey, are you tired of the current state of the comic book industry? Come to us. We're going to do it right. Now, I have not read Isom #1, so I am not aware of the fine details of its content. I'm just going to preface this video saying that. So if there is some fucked up shit in there, then there's some fucked up shit in there, and you should not give them your money. However, I really don't think that's the case. I've watched several interviews with these guys, these creators behind this project, and basically what their standpoint is, they're against the quote-unquote woke nature of the current comic book industry. They're against the progressive, politically correct nature that comics are increasingly taking on. So what does that mean? That means that they don't like taking well-established characters and making big changes with them just to fit the current socio-political climate. In other words, they don't like taking characters and long, well-established characters and changing their sexuality. They don't like changing characters' genders. They don't like doing that kind of progressive, politically correct shit. And so, they've started their own company. Now, they've gotten a lot of backlash. Alongside getting a lot of money, they've gotten a lot of backlash. There's a specific like comics thread on Reddit where discussion about the Rippaverse and this comic is banned. And that is just mind-blowing to me, because it's not like these people came out, at least I can't tell. I've been looking through shit all day since I found out about this. I've been reading reports, reviews, watching people's videos talking about this. I've been watching interviews with the creators. Nothing they're saying is that they're straight up like, we're anti-gay, we hate gay people, or anti-transgender, we hate transgender people, we're racist. The lead writer on this project is black. And the comic stars a black superhero, a brand new black original superhero character. So, yeah, like, all they're saying is, look, we're just not going to put LGBTQ characters into this story just because the current status quo, the current socio-political climate of the world tells us we have to. We will put them in there if we think that their addition to the story will make the story better and make it more enjoyable and more entertaining for the readers. But we are not just going to put them in there because we're being told by that we're not going to put them in there just because we're being told, like, well, it's 2022, you have to put them in there. No. They'll go in if the story warrants them being there, they'll be there. But until that point, now I can see where this kind of causes a little bit of contention with people, because it's a fictional story that these people are writing and making up on their own. So if they don't want the story to warrant the inclusion of LGBTQ plus characters, they can just write the story to make sure that their inclusion is never warranted and never justified. And that's really the biggest piece of controversy around this. When you have a company like DC or Marvel, when you have a company that big and they're very publicly known, they have this big presence, there is this pressure for them to do what the right thing is. Just do it. Do it, because if you don't, you're gonna get, like, if you don't include these kinds of characters, people are going to jump to the conclusion that the reason you're not including them is because you have something against them. You're prejudiced in some way. That's what's going to happen. And it's not that, like, we have a problem. It's not that the general comic book community has a problem with LGBTQ plus characters. It's that we don't have a problem with their inclusion. We have a problem with why these companies, why everyone is being told that they have to be included. Like, no, that's wrong. That is wrong. I'm going to correct myself. We have a problem with why these companies like DC and Marvel are doubling down so hard on this progressive, inclusive stuff. Now, on the one hand, you're going to have people who say it's because it's the right thing to do and they want to do the right thing. Personally, I say bullshit. I think they're doing it to save their own ass. They're doing it to save their own ass, and they're doing it to earn shock value money. You know, they put out a comic where the lead, about a year ago, they put out the comic where Superman revealed he's bisexual and kissed a dude. Now, it's not Clark Kent's Superman, it's his son John, but he is Superman, and he is the main character of the Superman comic book series now, so he is Superman. And they put out a comic book issue where he kisses a dude, and reveals that he's bisexual. This is not inherently a problem. The problem is why DC did it. And I just don't buy into this narrative that they're doing it simply because it's the right thing. I think they're doing it, one, because they know that the shock value of that issue with that scene, it'll earn them extra revenue. It's the same reason they killed Superman back in the 90s. So like the shock value will sell. And then also on top of that, it'll sell comics. It'll get us clicks on articles and shit online. Like it's clickbait type shit. That's why they do it. And on top of that, they do it to save their own ass because they're afraid that this massive portion of the public will fucking come for their ass if they don't make it very fucking clear that, hey, we're not your enemy, we're on your side, don't kill us. That's I think where most people's problem with it come from. It's not what they're doing, it's why they're doing it. Like there's a lot of people, we just don't, this narrative of, oh, we're putting in all these different types of characters because we want to be more inclusive because that's just the right thing to do. I don't buy it for 1 second. I think you're doing it for money and to save your own ass. Because, and this Isom #1 in Rippaverse Comics is proof that you don't need to do it to make money and save your own ass. $3.5 million in a few weeks. That's fucking fantastic. That proves right there that, like, look, whether LGBTQ plus characters are there or not, whether there's strong female characters there or not, the vast majority of the comic book reading community does not give a fuck. All we care about is the story good and entertaining? And will I finish the comic, close it, and put it down feeling that I got my money's worth? That's all the vast majority of us really give a fuck about. If you can make the comic enjoyable and entertaining with LGBTQ plus characters, great. That's but it's not bad just because it's not inherently bad just because it does not have those characters represented. And that's what these people are, that's what Rippaverse Comics is proving. They're over here going, look, we made it very clear that we're not going to do this quote unquote woke shit. And they've also touched on a couple other things about like the general comics industry lately. You can read on their website, they say that like we are committed to building a universe, a shared universe of characters, and we are committed to continuity, and we are committed to a stable timeline of events. Like, there's not going to be this like, I think one of the lines on their website, if you read it, it says it's like, we're not going to use like some lazy time travel story to do drastic changes. Like, it's like everything is going to flow. It's a universe with a cohesive narrative with a single continuity, and that's another thing that's been missing from the big two, much more so DC than Marvel, but it is lacking in both. DC just very much, like a lot more. So basically, yeah, these guys are killing it. Now, like I said, I have not read the comic. I would like to, however, the only way to get it is through their website, and it has to be mailed to you. And I didn't want to wait for it to come in the mail, snail mail, get to my doorstep, then have to read it to do a video and talk about it. When it's easier for me to just do the video talking about Rippaverse Comics and the comic itself and what it means for the industry. I can do that and just put a disclaimer that I have not read it. So I'm gonna read it. I promise you I am. And if there is some terrible prejudice shit in there of any kind, I will make a follow-up video and take all this back. But as it stands right now, with what I know, these guys are just killing the game. They're just out here going, hey, you don't have to do politically correct, progressive shit just for the sake of appeasing the masses. Because clearly $3.5 million in a few weeks. The masses don't give a fuck about it. And yeah, it's just this giant blow, middle finger to everything wrong with the current state of the comics industry, and it's fucking beautiful. I'm so happy about this. I'm like they've earned my money to try this first issue, just in their promise, because they touched on so many of the key points that have been bothering so many people in the comics community, like the comic book reading, the comic book fan community, for so long. The problems that have been bothering us for so long, they address those in their mission statement, I guess you could call it, on their website. They refer to those problems directly. The lack of continuity and the shoehorning progressive politically correct agendas in there for the purpose of appeasing the masses. Hey, don't kill us, we're your friends. And then also shock value money. Like, it's just a big fuck you to all that, and it's fucking great. So if you have not heard of this, I recommend you check it out, look into it, and consider funding their campaign. I can tell you right now, we have not heard the last from these guys. All right, as much as Reddit wants to ban talking about them and this and that, we have not heard the last of these guys, because they just earned themselves $3.5 million in a week. Like, if they're smart, and I think they are, they're going to take that money, they're going to reinvest it into their company, they're going to use it to expand Rippaverse Comics. And here's the thing. More so, and this is just a fact of the world, you got to make your peace with it. There's one reality here on planet Earth that we all live in. You have to make your peace with reality, because you don't get another one. And the reality is, the money is going to decide. All right, it's not going to, what the right thing is not going to be what decides how things go. Ultimately, the money is going to decide. So if these guys keep just raking in the bucks, sooner or later, comic book distributors and retailers are going to take notice, and they're going to go, yeah, they don't really represent LGBTQ plus characters, but fuck, that's a lot of money. We could be getting in on that. And then they're going to just do it. That's exactly how it's going to go down. As long as like I said, as long as there's nothing actually inherently wrong with the content, other than the fact that it just doesn't include some kinds of people. Who cares? Well, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, I'm transgender. I don't see myself represented in this comic, so I don't want to read it. Fine. Don't fucking read it. Read something else. But it's the big thing. It's popular. Everyone, it's the thing everyone's talking about, and I want to feel included and be able to talk about it too. Well, then read it. But I can't because I'm not in it. Make up your mind. But just wanted to make a quick video, bring awareness to this campaign, Rippaverse Comics. I know my channel is not followed by a whole lot of people. I'm sitting at like maybe 630 subscribers, but who knows? I recommend you check it out. I recommend you check it out and just see what it's all about. Just like I'm going to, because I think it might be a step in the right direction for comics overall. So yeah, that's my 2 cents in the matter. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below, get a discussion started. If you like this video, please hit the like button. That really helps out with the channel. And if you want to help out the channel even more, check out some of my other videos and subscribe. Other than that, I will talk to you all later.